cloud. Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here. You won't believe the problems I had. My computer, stopped twice when I was trying to get on this platform, and I'm not 100% sure what the problem was. But I'm here, and so are a bunch of other very good recruiters, okay? And what's the date? January 19th, 2022. We've got Klang SO. He's over on my side there. He is a IT recruiter in Switzerland. He created his own applicant tracking system. It's got some other free functions, which Mario the recruiter, raise your hand, Mario the recruiter, says are really worthwhile. Go take a look at that. Klang SO, all the way from Glasgow. Stephen O'Donnell, what's your favorite URL?
NoraUK.com.
NoraUK.com. That's an award organization for the best recruiters in the United Kingdom. They're coming to America, not anytime soon, but eventually. And that empty chair down there, that's Rich Rosen. And I'm going to talk to you about him right now. And also Michael G. Cox, who isn't here yet. He's too good to come on time, okay? There's a contest from Forbes, Best Recruiters in America. I think that's what it is, the best recruiting companies. And when Rich was a little boy, he used to dream about being on that list. And by coincidence, so did Michael G. Cox. Now,
there's no way this is true, right? This is made up now.
I'm not going to say, okay? And so, but now this year, they've both got shots at it, and they're asking you, their friends, to go to coldcallrecruiter.com. coldcallrecruiter.com, register to vote. You'll get an email and you can vote for them. You can vote for both of them. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to betray anybody. There he is. He finally showed up, Rich Rosen. Cornerstonesearch.com. You have to vote for his company, not him. Cornerstonesearch.com. Michael G. Cox has a company as well. It's called ZagWorks. ZagWorks.com. Okay. ZagWorks, Cornerstone Search, go to coldcallrecruiter.com, vote for them. The reason is, why should you vote for these people? I won't go on much longer. He comes here every week and tells you what he does so you can make money like him. Okay, so does Michael G. Cox. And they post all kinds of answers on Facebook for you. And if you're an ingrate, you won't vote for them. But if you've got any heart at all, and any gratitude, which everyone tells us you're supposed to have, you'll go to that site and you'll vote, okay? I hope that comes through. Sometimes when I get excited, the mic, cancels out.
Sounds good.
Oh, man, somebody was yelling. What's going on?
Tell them to vote for you, Michael G. Cox. Tell them to vote for the salesrecruiter.com. Okay, let's get going now that that's out of the way. Let me see. I had some really good questions here.
Can I just check something on your tech, Animal? You seem to be frozen, as is Ewan.
I'm dancing around now. So's Ivan.
Stefan,
nobody else.
You were frozen for a bit.
I am frozen.
You were for a few seconds.
I'm going to go out and come back in that case.
Well, blame it on the snow.
No, now it's okay. It should be okay.
Okay.
Man, we had snow here this week like you wouldn't believe. But let's go on to the real topics, okay? Okay, listen to this.
In the house.
Listen to this. Somebody said great engineers who are shitty salespeople will not do well at recruiting, okay? What does that mean? They're shitty salespeople. Does anybody want to take a stab at that? I don't know how they can be bad because they understand the jobs so well. They can screen people and they can present them to the clients in terms that are very relevant. If they're
they say that it's no longer a requirement for a recruiter to be persuasive. You just have to be an educator and communicate, but not persuasive, not a salesperson. So I think you still have to be persuading people, because every conversation you're in, you need to get something from it that the other person initially wasn't looking to give up.
Hey, I didn't understand what you said, but let me introduce Ellie Combs. This is a woman who disagrees with everything I say for years and tells me how awful everything I do is and how awful
I already
this show
like
is,
her.
Okay?
She fits right in, perfect.
She's here, okay? Stephen Cohen, not Stephen, it's Ellie Cohen, Stephen O'Donnell, okay? What do you mean they're not persuasive? What does persuasive mean? If you're an engineer and I understand exactly what you do and what the client does, I can go to you and say, Steve, you know, I see you do X, Y, Z. They're looking for somebody like that. And that's a perfect match. In fact, they've got these other things that are going to be great for you as a growth pattern.
No.
An unpersuasive person will accept what's being told to them and will not negotiate, will not push for what they want to happen. A good salesman will find out enough about the other person to present the information in a way that compels them to take action. So it might be that you want someone to go along for an interview. It might be you want someone to give you the okay to submit them for the vacancy. It might be that you're persuading someone to take time off work to go for an interview and all the risks that go along with that. If you're not a persuasive person and they say, nah, then it's not going to happen. You still need to be persuasive.
Let's move. Hold on. Ellie, just so you know, if you get tired of being here, you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. Okay. I understand your sensitivities. I just want to make sure you understand ours. Okay. Somebody else take up what he said. The person's not persuasive.
Ellie, you just got to speak up too. You just got to yell out.
Where's Rich Rosen? I thought you left.
Jump in.
I'm trying to have some lunch.
He's eating.
Okay, go ahead. If you want to disappear, she didn't want to show her face. She told me I'm not showing my face.
Yeah, I've overcome the hurdle.
Okay. Good for you. Anybody else want to talk about persuasion? I don't know what he means. I honestly don't.
Okay, I think we burned too many calories on your initial point.
Animal, I could explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you.
Somebody else try to explain it. That's just an excuse. Michael G. Cox, do you know what persuasion means?
Yes, but your original point was ridiculous anyway. It was just somebody's opinion saying that an engineer can't do this or because they're not good in sales. No, dude. No.
You know what?
Anybody can do this.
Mr. Eating Lunch will back me up on that. He hired a VP
and that'll
of
be
sales.
His opinion.
No. Rich Rosen's opinion is not an opinion, okay? It's not just an opinion. He hired a VP of sales, and that I figured that would be a great person to bring aboard. That guy screwed up. And he's working with sales jobs. What went wrong? I can never understand it.
Because a VP of sales isn't interested in doing the work. They want to hire somebody to do the work.
That's different.
They tend to manage.
Anybody else want to take on that issue? How come someone who knows the job? What about you, Ellie? Are you interested? They know the job. They know the job, but that doesn't mean they're going to be a good salesperson. They can't be a good recruiter. Why not?
Well, you know, for the same reason that someone who's good at sales isn't necessarily when they get promoted good at managing people, it's skill sets. And by the same token, if someone who's a developer uses his influencing skills and has that, then yes, it can correlate to the influencing skills that we absolutely need. It's probably one of my top skill sets that makes me strong as a recruiter.
What's more being like here? We got a perfect example. We got Ivan here. I'm going to come to him in a sec. What's better at persuading people than actually understanding the job and the candidate? Okay, or Mario
understanding the job and persuading.
No, I was just saying, waving to Tony.
Okay, yeah. Ivan. No, let's bring Ivan in. You're an IT recruiter, and I know you believe that you're a better recruiter because you're a developer as well. Am I right about that?
You understand, yeah, I mean, you can just build rapport so much quicker. Like, I mean, you are much more believable to like senior people, although maybe you're like less senior than them. That helps a lot, but it still only works if you do have a certain kind of salesy personality, right? So it's like nitroglycerine. You need like both to have like
what's
the
a
actual
salesy
effect.
Personality? Okay, that's your key argument. What's a
like
salesy
to talk
personality?
To people, like to talk to people, like, you know, like like to help them to go forward in their career. Like they are thinking, like I just talked today with a person. Yeah, I'm thinking to change jobs for 2 years. Like most people are passive, and they need this, they need this push to like really actually do what they want to do. Same with like losing weight or something like that. It's like sometimes you need like a coach, and like a good recruiter is like a coach, right? So like help you actually to achieve like a result.
I never thought a good recruiter was a coach. I think most recruiters don't have the ability to coach anybody because they don't understand the jobs they're working on.
You don't have to understand the job to be a good recruiter. The bottom line.
To be a good coach also.
You have to be. Ivan's right. If you're a coach and you can walk people through the process, help them prepare for it. You need to have taken a good discovery call to understand the work and the job that's got to get done. But like I know how to fly on a plane. I can explain it to someone. I don't know how to fly a plane. I don't know how to build a plane. But you know what? I can sell someone on.
You know what? This is a
on
question
doing
That would
I've
be a
always
fun
wondered.
ride.
Damn right.
Animal, there's one more factor you must
What
consider.
is it? What is it?
The culture gap between Europe and America, North America specifically. Okay. There's a big culture gap here. I mean, in the way people move around there. They are not workaholics like North Americans are generally. Okay.
No, I don't know
Makes
what you're
sense?
talking about. You're on the other side of the world. I've never
Hey,
noticed. I've never noticed any difference between
He's in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
you and
that's
he's
where
in
I'm
Virginia.
sitting there.
Virginia is far away from where I am. Okay, and I've never noticed any difference between him and everybody else here. Okay, that's it. Ellie, what's your URL? Do you want to send people to? Plug yourself.
You can look me up on LinkedIn.
Okay, you don't have to. Okay, but
Very
this guy
secretive.
down in the corner.
No,
raise your hand,
I
Ernie, you bluffed your chance. Ernie is foodrecruiter.com, foodindustryrecruiter.com. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you know what? I still don't understand why someone who's technically good is not a good salesperson. The clearest answer I got was from Stephen and Ivan that they'll push you a little. They'll tell you what to do. I think that's call to action. I think that's what they were telling us, and other people won't push. I don't know. Let me move on.
One second before you move on. 1 second. Animal, a sales guy needs a certain set of skills. Mostly developers or engineers may not have those skills.
Mhm.
A simple term, rejection. Can you handle it?
Okay. Okay. Is Rich Rosen showing us his wall so we can't see his food? You
like my wall?
No, it's boring.
It's a wall. It's behind me. What do I care?
Is 90 days the default guarantee period now? Anybody want to take that one
30. 30 if you're smart.
30.
Why does anyone offer a
I've never been
guarantee on
accused
a
of
decision
that.
that someone else makes?
I
If
agree.
I,
Exactly. 30 is to be nice, not necessary.
yeah, and I've never given a feedback in my life.
Never.
What I have done is I've given a credit against the next placement, but I've never given the money back.
Okay, but you give a guarantee then. I mean, you're giving a guarantee.
Well, it looks like a guarantee, but it doesn't work like a guarantee.
Well, it sounds like it to me. I can actually quote what Rich
No,
Rosen advises. Okay. Rich
Go ahead.
Rosen says, we are not in the retention business. That's his big declaration. But then
Yeah.
he says, give the guarantees on a declining basis. Give them 100% replacement for free in 1 month, 90% off the replacement in month number 2, 80% off in month number 3. Yeah.
For the record, I've actually never done that agreement like that because
That's just your advice. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, because people.
So you were lying?
The
You
way
were
the guy phrased it was, "Hey, you want an idea?" I mean, some people do it, but you're not giving money back. You're basically taking 80% off of that fee for that future thing. Like Stephen was saying,
Yeah.
it's just a declining basis, the same thing. But I think I just do replacement for 30 days. Sometimes if I'm feeling nice, 60 days, but it's not my problem. Once they screw up,
Okay, but here's
I
another
would
thing.
also, in the
Okay.
terms, I would also have, so the payment terms, if I have payment terms of say 30 days, and they got either they got a discount or if they look later to claim anything on a guarantee, the guarantee is void if they haven't paid within 30 days.
yeah.
So
I have a
that's
whole
the incentive
paragraph.
to pay promptly.
It's like on mine, it's you got to pay within 10 days. You got to pay which most people pay in 30, so it avoids the warranty anyway. But it's if there's economic decline like we had with the pandemic was already in there, if the material changed from what it's in the discovery call to what the product actually is, change in leadership. I mean, because once you make a decision, I don't understand why recruiters are so bend over backwards to give these replacements.
Hold on. Well, because Rich Rosen, you're charging a huge fee. you say, look, it's not my job, man.
It's not. I mean, they made the decision. My job is not to sit there and babysit them. I don't train them.
How many times have clients chosen the wrong candidate and then thought it was somehow your fault?
Well, hold on. Actually, Stephen raised a point that Paul raised on that same discussion. He said, how often do people leave? You could promise them anything and rarely have to deliver. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, Ernie, it's not that people don't leave, it's that you don't give them the money back.
Ernie.
Yeah, I was going to say I give a payment within 10 days. And they usually don't pay within 10 days anyway. So
you guys are tricky. You use a trick to avoid the guarantee.
There's a second.
You have a business decision to make. It doesn't mean your contracts are black or there's a lot of gray area in recruiting. You always want these black and white answers, but the contracts you can decide. Do you want to make a business? This is what the contract said. Do you want to stick to it to the letter?
And then the second thing is, you end up, if you don't make a replacement for that particular position, you tell them you'll make it for an additional position in the future.
Never.
That way you keep them in it.
No. Why would you want to replace them then you just gave them a free placement for some completely different search?
Yeah, but you get 3 or 4 placements. You get 3 or 4 searches out of it.
It depends on the client, but to me, that's a great way to get screwed.
Yeah, well, it's a good way to keep long-term.
I'm not sure, Ernie. Did you tell us what your guarantee is, or that you don't have one?
I got 90-day guarantee.
Oh, 90 days. Okay. Anybody else?
But you got to pay within 10 days.
Yeah, so it's
they never do.
Yeah, it's default. Anybody else want to talk about their guarantee?
The hiring manager and the accountants don't jive.
Okay. Anybody? You know what? If somebody leaves on day 29 and then you say, look, you didn't pay in 10 days, they'll never use you again. That's what I believe. Okay. Okay. You know what, Ellie, I won't ask you any questions because you're going to be a guest. I can tell, and I'll wait till then, but you're welcome to speak up anytime you want. Rich Rosen.
I was going to say, but what you just said, though, all these are business decisions. Like, again, you have your contracts, the framework, but then like Ernie said, listen, you can do it for another search, but I think it's silly because you just spend all your time doing search A. Now you're going to go do a whole new search form, in Boston opposed to San Diego. So, you should get paid twice for it, or you should get something for it. Like my replacement is for the exact same, it says in the contract, same role, same location, same salary, or greater, and you're paying the difference of the greater salary. I mean, it's a real business contract. If they wouldn't sign the contract the other way, why should you?
And the other thing with that is it's who you're talking to, who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with the president of the company, it's a whole different conversation than dealing with the HR manager or director or whatever. And when you talk with the president of the company, it's a much easier and better relationship where things move.
But they also would agree that you shouldn't do a replacement for like if I placed a guy in Boston, I shouldn't have to. A replacement wouldn't be the guy in San Diego. It's a totally different role. And the executives get it. It's the junior guys and the HR people often want to fight over those little semantics that are a big difference to you and I when you're have to redo the complete search.
I wish I was as bold as Rich Rosen. Like, I really do. I feel responsible for the hire.
Why?
I'm giving them the slate that they're choosing from. I share in that responsibility.
Then you should be part of the interview process. You should get to make the decision.
That's not the same thing. Anybody else want to talk about this or move on to something else?
I just want to add one other piece to it. Everybody in any industry is raising prices right now. If you're a recruiter and you're not talking about that and you don't carry some sort of weight and some sort of confidence in that, then you're losing, if you're acting more like a servant rather than a leader, you're losing it. You got to show them you have the confidence you can do it, because all of these guys are going back to their suppliers and they're going back to their customers and they're telling them we're raising our price.
Okay. Hey, inflation went up by 7% in 2021.
There you go. You should be charging 27% now.
Anybody else got a topic they want to talk about? Burning issue, or should I keep going? Anybody got a topic?
You're on a roll.
Keep going.
Anybody? Okay, well, here's an issue. Our good friend Amy Miller is not here today, but everybody knows that one of her big shticks is, and I posted a video from her that people actually watched. They don't watch my videos, her little clips, but they watch when I post hers, okay? And it said that her job is just to bring in people to the interview, not to determine their technical ability. That's not true. If she was bringing in a lot of people, wait, I'll be brief. If she was bringing in a lot of people that were technically no good, she wouldn't have a job. A recruiter, even if you're not an engineer or a rocket scientist, you've got to be able to tell who actually has it. And that makes you a good recruiter. You're sending in good people. And then you don't have to worry about if you're in an agency anyway, because the guarantee wouldn't be an issue. Okay, Steve, contradict me. Go ahead.
You're misrepresenting Amy to an extent, so I have to defend her. I saw her talking about the same thing on Twitter, and the truth is somewhere in between. Yes, you have to know your own subject, and if you're a specialist in a particular field, I specialized in injection molded plastics, then you need to know all of the technical terms at least, and have an appreciation or an understanding of what goes on. But you're not trained in doing that thing, and you're not nearly as well qualified as the hiring manager to test if someone is up to scratch. What you should be is a good judge of character and a good judge of the basics of the vacancy that you're looking to fill. What you're looking to do is assess that someone is good enough for interview. So you're recommending them for interview. You're not recommending them for the job. You're saying this person is worth seeing an interview, and you make up your own mind. You decide.
Okay, now I remember you said that on Facebook. You said, I judge their character. No, that's not good enough. A recruiter, I'll bet. Let me ask Mr. No Retention, okay, Rich Rosen, okay? The point is, I believe that you could actually recommend the best hires for your client. I know lots of times that I know who's good and who isn't, and I have never worked in that field myself, okay? Rich Rosen, would you take responsibility? Would you be able to hire the best person?
If they told me, if they had complete carte blanche, gave me the salary, the account list they can go after, what the culture and environment's like, what their manager's going to be. Yeah. But they're never going to give me all that.
Stephen, would you have been able, without being an injection molding technical expert, would you have been able to hire the people or pick the best candidate? Yeah.
Hold on. I'd have a fair stab at it, but I wouldn't want the responsibility because that's different. I'm not guaranteeing how good the candidates are going to be. If they want to pay me differently, then I'll take responsibility for it. I'll give you an example though of a similar situation.
This is a no-brainer. If Amy brought in, or anybody, a lot of candidates who didn't have technically what was required, that recruiter wouldn't have a job for very long. I don't see how anyone could argue with that. Oh, even Ellie is shaking her, nodding her head, right? Not shaking.
Yeah, but they've already responded to the question. It's vetting them to a certain level. It's not doing in-depth technical, super in-depth, whatever that is.
You're vetting them.
That's also not good. That doesn't take into account who they want to hire as well. So employers have the right to hire the second best candidate if they like them better. I had two women for a role for HR manager with an engineering company in Glasgow, John Brown Engineering, who built the QE2. So they were looking for an HR manager, and the HR director had two candidates to choose from. Both were women. One was exceptionally well qualified and experienced, and the other one was really dishy. Now, I thought I was absolutely certain they were going to go for the well qualified person, but in the end up, they hired the one with the big knockers.
Caramba. Okay, so how do you know that was the reason they hired her? Maybe they just liked her. They spent 8 hours with the person.
And they're entitled to hire the one they like best.
This was like going to be a great story, and then all
this
of
is going to be great. That's your clip for the week right there.
Okay, so I have a question for the group, because I hear this all the time that people don't have, recruiters don't have responsibility for who gets picked, and therefore blah, blah, blah. And I haven't done third-party recruiting as much as other folks. So I've done contracts, and, I've kind of been on both sides, but I feel that I absolutely have done, intakes with all the hiring managers directly
This
where
is a
like
signal to get to the point. This is your first time I'm teaching you, okay?
Everybody.
yeah. All right, if you want to shut me down.
No, no,
Come
no,
on,
I'm
bring it.
moving
Wants
you
to speed
ahead.
up.
I'm guiding you. I'm coaching you like a good recruiter would. Don't drag it out. Get to the point, okay?
What's
Start
your
over.
Okay,
Start
but I
over.
don't remember where I was going.
I'm so sorry I have to get off at 12:30. It's so disappointing.
Oh, hold
Well,
on.
and my
I've
question
got.
was really for you and for others, which is, aren't there times that how you communicate about that candidate, you're nuanced, when
Mhm.
you communicate who you're excited about and who meets the things and who
And
you
why?
recommend. And how often, I mean, aren't there a good amount of times where you can influence
Yes.
the decision? Because I hear all this, that
You can
we have
influence the
ownership, and I
decision.
influence it so often, and my people get picked. I'm not sending a million. I assume we all aren't.
Mhm.
We're sending a select, very
Yeah.
limited number. Any could be picked, but we have favorites. Often don't our favorites, and when I say favorites, they're the strongest person, and often they don't just have skill sets, but they embody the role. We love them because they live it, and
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you can have
Yep.
all that, but the client still sets the culture. They still set the workload. They still set everything else. You have no control over once they're hired. So how has become, you have no responsibility because you have no control. So
You have control over is whether or not you can get them an interview.
that's it.
That's it.
You can influence the whole process, but once they say yes, what do I mean, they're adults. They made decisions. The whole team made the decision. I've never seen a client who can explain how it's my fault.
Okay, I mean, I see your point because you're right. I've had teams where I really love the hiring managers and love the teams, but there are others where you're like, they're going to be hard on, there are other ones where I've been like, oh my gosh, that person's not going to stay long because look at how they, but I've seen
There's an
so
there's
many
an
good teams and managers that I think that's
Michael
why
T.
I'm like,
Cox.
there's an interesting dynamic that happens when you do take the power. We had, when I was still in corporate, we had a situation where there were a few hiring managers for a few teams that were just struggling with the decisions that they were making, the people that they were hiring, whether they were hiring direct, circumventing recruiting, or going through the recruiting process, and then taking so long that we would lose the candidate. We took the hiring, and this is something that the president and I worked out together. Keep in mind, this was corporate, and we decided to take the hiring decision-making authority away from the hiring managers,
wow.
and we put it on the recruiter, myself, and the recruiter that was in charge of those divisions. And the first thing that happened, before that happens, that recruiter's like, oh, they're taking so long. Why won't they just make a decision? They keep bringing these people in for interviews. As soon as that recruiter had final decision-making authority, they started taking too long, bringing those candidates back in for interviews, hemming and hawing, freaking out because that decision comes to them. So careful what you wish for, folks.
No,
Sometimes
I don't
you
believe
don't
most
want that.
recruiters would do that. I don't believe most recruiters, when they make the presentation, when they give those 3 candidates, they know who's best and they know who they would make the offer to. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Anybody
I
still want
think
to
it
talk
depends
about
on
this?
the
It's fine.
situation.
It's fine to believe that and not actually be able to back it up
I
with
would take
real.
it. I told you I'm a chicken. I'm not like Rich Rosen. I'm not so bold, but I would take that responsibility.
You would
and
take
not
the-
only that, I would
Hey,
argue with the client or the project
the
manager.
would
This
take, the
guy's
should
great. Are you
take,
crazy?
none of that exists in real life. Yeah, you can say you would. You're like a armchair
I
recruiter.
have fought. Okay, I have fought for a candidate. Who's going to say they never did
But
before?
you didn't have the final decision-making authority.
Yeah.
When you
I
get
took
that, let me know
responsibility.
how
I
it
put my
goes.
neck on the line. I said, "This guy's good. Don't hire that other guy." Okay.
And they hired the other guy.
They did,
Yes.
yeah. And
That happens
sometimes
to all
they
of
do.
us.
But whose fault? It comes back to you. They don't say,
They
"Oh,
hire the
I was
good-looking
sorry,
guy,
No,
though.
sorry."
they can.
Sorry.
Everybody wants to place blame and not accept authority. Even hiring managers, they're going to
Good.
do that.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to defend yourself and say, no, hold up, I told you to go with these guys. And when they do go with your recommendation, and sometimes they do, and if those blow up, be ready to step in and say, you know what, I told you to do that also.
They don't want to, they don't give you that. Ivan wants to say something. I saw you raise your hand. How about working with your, and we can't hear you.
My question is, like, to Rich and everyone, if you to those in this group that say you will not take any responsibility, like if it's a bad hire, like no responsibility, do you then also, if the client says this is the best candidate in the world, thank you for sending them, they're so amazing, do you also say this is not my responsibility, I didn't teach them how to code? Like then you have to be symmetric and be so also saying that, hey, I'm not, like, I do this actually, I tell them, hey, I'm not their mother, I didn't teach them JavaScript, you know, just judge me by my ability to communicate all the facts about the candidate. And that's why I use candidate notes, which I merged with the CV using my ATS.
That's a plugin. That's an awesome plugin.
Hold on a second though. He said something real smart. He said, hold on. He said, if you don't take responsibility for the bad candidates, you can't take responsibility for the good ones either. Okay.
Correct.
Too bad Rich isn't here. He'd find a way around it. Anybody else? Anybody else want to address this stuff? No. No.
You know, I was going to say
Go ahead,
with regards to interviewing though, it's like the more people you have in the interview, it's like saying, hey, what movie do we want to see within the 6 of us or 8 of us? You're never going to decide. And
Yeah, we are. We're gonna watch what I decide.
And so what people do is, a lot of people that are new to interviewing kind of like think they got to figure out a way to not approve of you or approve of the person being interviewed, and they look for the bad part.
Yeah,
So
because they're covering their ass.
you got to have a real strong relationship with a hiring manager that's going to decide. And then if you can't get that, then you walk away. If they can make a decision, fine. If they can't, find another client. Don't waste your time.
Is that it?
Yeah, right now finding clients isn't too difficult.
Okay.
I think this is distinguishes like the successful recruiters from the not successful ones. The successful ones probably are like super picky with clients. They're like, okay, this is a weird client, I go next. Like probably, I assume.
That's what Rich says. I've got a good question.
Yeah.
I got some good quotes. It's too bad though that Rich left just now, because he went wild on Facebook, on Michael G. Cox's favorite group, Herc, okay, about something. He went wild about something. Now, he's always got an opinion, but I never see him get so passionate and excited. And this was it. He said, whoever started the trend of not putting a location on your resume needs to go and crawl back into their hole. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I honestly haven't seen that.
Anybody want to talk about that?
Not putting what on your
location
resume?
Location.
I stand by
Location.
him on that.
City, state, I don't know, country for Stephen.
So let me put this to you. I think it's entirely okay to lie on your CV or your resume.
Thanks,
so
man. Appreciate that.
Well, if you think it's going to go down well to say that you're in London or San Francisco or wherever, if the job's remote, then put wherever.
You know, that's about as contrarian a statement as you can ever get. A recruiter saying, I think it's okay for you to lie on your resume.
So my key point
You don't
is
have
that
to say it's okay. It's being
a
done.
resume is not a legal document in the same way as a job advert is not a legal document. When people be held
An
to
application is a legal document.
I don't think so. I don't
It
think
actually is. You're actually signing to verify. That's the whole purpose.
you don't sign it.
Of an
Who signs
application,
it?
and why they ask you to complete all that instead of a resume and just saying see attached.
Yes, but your resume.
He's talking about a resume and
Where's a side note? I'm just
an
saying.
application
It
is
is
a
a
separate
legal
thing.
document.
I read something the other day where someone said, is anyone catching this sort of mess up where somebody other than the candidate does a Zoom interview? And you're saying, what? He does his Zoom interview, then he gets hired.
That's different.
Different person shows up.
That's different.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that. Mario wants to talk about
And sorry I
address.
cut you off, Stephen, too.
No,
I didn't want to say anything. Sorry about it.
I just
You wanted
wondered
to
why
say something.
you think it's okay for someone to put London if
But the reason I say that is that employers are often economical with the truth in their job adverts. And I think it's only
Economical.
fair when candidates do a bit of the same. And we all expect the resume to be, full of
Grandiose.
inaccuracies. Yeah, grandiose or
What I can see is, for an example, I had a coaching client. So I'm certified HR and I'm a certified professional coach. So I do some career coaching, but recruiting is the big thing that
Certifiable.
I do. I'm certifiable as well. Yes. So thank you. So, yeah, I did have someone who literally before the pandemic was ready to move to Florida, like really ready, and as soon as he got a job, I mean, moving within no question 30 days of starting to interview. And things were freeing up at that point. This was, I don't know, it might have been 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever. And so anyway, I was like, on LinkedIn, you need to change your settings because people aren't going to find you if they're searching for Florida. So absolutely put it there, but communicate you are ready. Because when people are like, I'll relocate. No, are you ready to relocate, within 4 to 6 weeks? That's the question.
Do you have a go bag now?
So yeah, I could see if someone was in that
So
scenario.
hey, bottom line with regard
let
to
me
all
give
of
an
this.
opinion because Mario didn't want to say something, but people in India, maybe he knows something about this. They will contact me again, and they all have Toronto addresses, but they're living in India. They intend to come here a few months time or something like that.
Okay, I have something to say now, Animal.
Okay, we'll get to you, Steve. Hold on. Go ahead.
I just got to go. My dinner's ready.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're leaving?
Enjoy dinner, Steve.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Stephen.
Okay, the reason a lot of some of the candidates don't include their location is because they assume the role can be remote, or they can make it into a remote role.
Maybe that's recently. It wasn't before.
And also, there's one more thing. Let me finish. There are a lot of overseas candidates who are looking for jobs in the US, especially in IT, and that is why they don't include their location.
Okay, but
it's easy to assume that, and so it can hurt.
No, that's what we speak with a lot of guys, and later on you see they're not in the US, and we're like, okay, thank you, have a nice day, bye bye.
No, let me just say what Stephen said, and he didn't say this clearly. Although I liked a lot of his euphemisms like economical with the truth and things like that, but he didn't state this clearly. What he meant when he said, you want to impress these stupid, narrow-minded employers, so you put London on your resume. That's to overcome bias. And that's why a lot of people say you shouldn't put your location on. It's because you're giving people something to latch onto. Oh, so-and-so is in a bad part of town.
That's not what he said.
That's what he said.
No, that's not what he said.
Okay, go ahead, Mario.
He's basically saying if you feel, this is his argument, not mine, if you feel that you're going to have a better chance of landing that remote job because you are in London versus Birmingham, then do that. The problem that Rich has, and I share this opinion, is if I have a job that I'm trying to fill in Houston and you put down no location whatsoever, I'm not going to look at you. I'm not going to find you. I'm not going to engage you. And then if you maybe apply and you say you're in Houston, but you're really not, then you just wasted my time.
Not necessarily, like Ellie said, you might be willing to move to Houston.
No, there was once again.
I got no time for that.
Not what I said.
Once again, there was a guy who lost a job on the group. A lady placed him and he was fired because his location wasn't genuine or something. He was living. You remember that there was an article, I mean a post actually. And
I didn't see it.
He was supposed to shift into that town.
Okay, Ellie is she's acclimated to the group very quickly. She's talking over you. I'll give her a chance now. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm the odds of someone 1 in 50 being, well, even less than that, being in the city or proximity to what you want, I mean, is so narrow. And then the chance of them being willing to relocate that quickly is so narrow that yes, you have to have a real motive to pick up the phone and contact that person. And then if you wind up having 2 or 3 questions, I mean, that person's really hurt themselves. Communicate where you are, because even if it's remote, there sometimes are reasons that we want proximity. I did some hiring very recently for California. Well, they wanted, You know, even if they were going to
We
fly
want
people in
California girls.
periodically.
Ivan, what about a postage stamp country like Switzerland? Is any comments? No?
Yeah, hiring
Uh,
overseas is a whole other thing for the States. And so, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, location, I mean, absolutely matters. I mean, it's like if somebody, like, for example, they are like in 2 locations sometimes, you know, and then of course you should put the one where the job is. I mean, my God, I mean, people are just like, and no location is really, really bad. It's really very annoying, extremely annoying. So it's
Okay, well, I thought it was sort of the norm these days, no location.
No, it's not the norm.
Harmful advice people
Can't
are
be the
giving.
norm.
Okay,
it's
well,
like
what about women
yeah.
wanting to avoid stalkers? At least they could
Yeah,
put
but
their
like if
city,
you put like New
city
York
down.
City, it's like you know where the stock is
Hey,
20 million people
yeah,
there.
I understand we're stalkers, but we're not that bad. Come on.
You know,
No, hold
I mean,
up, hold up.
well, I mean,
With
sexual
regard
predators.
to being careful
Sexual
with that kind of
predators.
stuff, don't put, I always recommend don't include your entire address. Your
Yeah,
your
true.
street address is not necessary.
At all,
Like
yeah.
Stephen had mentioned, a resume, just like a job advertisement, these things are not legal documents. And then let me take it. Okay, first, so don't include
How
your
do you
street
get that
address.
blur? How did you get that blur behind you so we can? That's a nice look. Yeah, you
Oh,
got the
yeah,
blur.
we have new floors coming in, so check this.
Oh, okay. No, I just, it's an interesting look. Go ahead. So you got, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like the blur.
Look at all that mess.
That look better. I like that look better.
So the whole, for safety purposes and also for discrimination purposes, I always recommend do not include your entire address, and you don't have to. I've seen far too often employers, hiring managers, recruiters make piss poor judgment calls on the curb appeal of somebody's home. Like, oh, that house is way too,
Yeah,
let's
they
say,
look you up on Google. Lots of people said
Oh
if
Yes.
they
my
got an address,
gosh.
I
if they've
heard
got
this
an
on
address,
even,
they'll look you
I
up.
thought it was a thing of the past. Hold up. I thought it was a thing of the past, but yesterday I was listening to a podcast, a very famous, well-known sales podcast, and this former VP of sales comes onto the show, and she's talking about how you do sales recruiting and sales hiring, because now she's in that game. And one of the things that she says is she always looks up a candidate's address
Oh,
so that she can see where he lives. And if it's for like an SDR, BDR type position, and this cat still lives with his or her parents, she don't hire him, because, you know, if you were successful, you'd have a nicer place
You
to
know
live.
what? That's
That
not
is
unreasonable.
dumbass
That's
statement.
No, that's
not
stupid.
unreasonable. That's
No,
not
it's stupid, dude.
unreasonable.
Mike Carr. Another thing that she said, she doesn't hire. She'll look at what they drive up in, because if they got a broke down jalopy, then she won't hire them, because if they were good, they would have a new car.
Who
Now,
thinks that's unreasonable? Who thinks
That's
that's
totally,
unreasonable?
we all agree.
You
It's
have-
totally stupid.
you have no
It's
right to be
stupid.
judging me on the way I spend my money. I
true.
make money, but I have a 11-year-old car now. And if you're 12, and if you're gonna judge me because I bought my wife a new car and not me, dude, come on. You don't know where my money's going.
I was judging you on your 12-year-old car, but then you said, well, I bought my wife
Hey,
a
I
new
got a
car,
25-year-old
okay?
Jeep. What are you going to say? It's a piece of junk or what?
Yes,
I
and that
judge
doesn't
you-
matter.
I judge you on how you
My
wear your car.
that's
car
my
is
baby.
a piece of junk. We
Second
don't
baby.
drive it anywhere. But if you're
Okay.
gonna judge me
But-
because
but-
I
but
didn't bring the
let me
nice
take-
car,
Let me take that example one step further.
that's
I've read where
hard.
some people, when you're interviewing, and I've done this too, when you're interviewing somebody and they have an on-site, you walk them to their car and you look inside their car. If their car is clean, it's maybe somebody you like. If it's
yeah,
a
for that
mess-
janitorial position, totally agree.
no,
Maybe
no,
you
no,
could
no.
do that.
It's when they say I'm organized, I'm this, I'm that.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
organized.
And let's go see your car, brother. And you go see their car. And if it's a mess, you say, you know, think twice.
You don't know that they wound up taking another family member's car, that something just happened and they were just, I'm
You know
going to get
what?
there.
You know what? The
You
down
don't
and
I'm
know.
dirty
organized.
of
Look at this mess. Oh, hang
it-
on. I
the
got
down
that.
and dirty of it is, I'm the hiring manager. I decide. Nobody else. That's it. And that's how they play the game.
Yeah, it doesn't look so bad, Michael G. Cox.
Organized.
Michael G.
brag. I
Cox,
got
it looks like a
humble.
proper
That's
work
humble.
desk.
No,
That's humble
And look at this
bragging.
mess, dude.
take us out to your car, Michael. Let's go see your car.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
You
go.
want to see the
Yeah,
A
yeah.
July?
field trip. Let's do a field trip.
Anybody
Don't-
else on the location? I'm ready to move on. Okay.
shoot.
And that's
You have
like
a-
segregation,
You have
actually.
a couch in your front yard.
If you've got a bunch of old cars
Oh, he's
there.
taking
in
us to
front-
his car, maybe.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Okay, what about this?
Trying to
what
set
about
up
this
this
question?
camera
This
again.
is of
all of
interest
this
to
is
me.
horrible.
What if somebody,
The
what if a
dark side of
company,
recruiting.
what
It's
if a
fun.
company lowballs the candidate and the candidate or the recruiter negotiates up the salary, the compensation package to something that would please the candidate? I think the candidate might want to reject that company anyway because they've already indicated that they prefer to pay less. They have to be strong-armed into giving the person what they really deserve. Ivan, do you have an opinion on that?
No.
Okay. Anybody else want to disagree with me that if you have to negotiate them up, it's a bad sign for the future? Anybody?
No, maybe they're
Actually,
expecting
no.
you. Dude, here's the thing.
Let
it's a-
Mario get it. You've been giving speeches.
No,
Let
please,
Mario
please,
say
Michael.
something.
Hey, Michael, you please speak.
Worked
I'll
up, man.
speak after you.
Whew. Hey,
Michael, you speak. Please speak.
this
Good
trend
English.
of making stupid decisions based on stupid pieces of data, like you have some organizations that'll make that decision. Yeah, let's lowball them. Yeah, I've had other organizations that I served when I was in corporate. I had to do recruiting. There was about 42 sister companies, and some of those companies would lowball on purpose because they were hoping that these sales reps would negotiate up. And if they don't negotiate up, well, then we don't want them here. What the shit? It's stupid. So everybody has their thing, and they suddenly make that thing too important. And
Was
everybody
Michael
has
G.
one of
Cox
those
saying
things.
that, you know what, they really do want to pay you what they're worth, but in this case with the sales
They
reps,
want you to
they're
work for it.
pretending. They're pretending. Okay,
When
not
he- when
every
he- when he
candidate
says-
is a
when he says
sales
that-
rep.
When he says the thing, he means that everybody has some sort of trick they like to play. No different than someone going to the car, no different than whatever. But the,
Everybody has some stupid thing that they put
Oh,
way
trust
too
me.
much importance on.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean, like,
definitely yes.
somebody will look at a resume, and if they find an error in their grammar or their writings, and they'll have a fit and they'll concentrate on that the whole interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
You know,
True,
it-
true,
So
true.
I actually had a candidate that was great. They were thrilled about for a range of reasons, and rightfully so. And then there became a question that was brought up of, we have a concern because there was something, how the resume was written. And I look back at it, and I'm pretty strong in writing things anyway. It was absolutely fine. And I wound up recommending, but they said everything else. Earlier they were like thrilled. And then, so I recommended that we go ahead and how about if I craft a writing sample and blah, blah, blah. And, and the only caveat, and again, here's where we can influence people, is I'm like, think about the writing on your own team, And so anyway, you do that right as I'm getting near the end of my story. But anyway, I'm glad you don't scream at people like you used to, which is why I stopped watching you.
Hey.
But
Oh
anyway,
my God.
Hey,
Ellie, he's
I
hella
like the
entertaining.
screaming, but
Yeah, we
I
all
know.
love the
the thing.
screaming.
Anyway, but
Time
I
everybody
lost
gets
your
screaming.
my
point.
point
You
is we
lost
could
me.
be-
I didn't know what you were talking about compared to this
it's hard to
lowballing
say
stuff.
5 sentences and have you follow. I know, Michael, it's hard. So anyway, yeah, so the point is, as I was wrapping up the story, is then we got that. And again, the caveat was judge in the same way that you would your own team and their imperfect writing. And we wound up moving forward, and they hired, and so sometimes you can influence people.
Ellie, can I
Yes.
ask you a question, please? What kind of recruiting do you do? Do you do internally or you?
So I sometimes work on a contract, so at least I'm paid
Okay.
hourly as I figure out
Okay.
how to get more
Okay,
business.
so you work more internally, if you see.
No.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she works internally.
And
Okay,
even
that's why
when
you
I've
can
been
influence the
external-
hiring
even when
manager
I've
like that.
been- Even when I've been external, I
Okay.
will say I tend to function a similar way in really partnering and influencing the process. And
Okay, what happens when you don't have access to the hiring manager?
I always have,
Because
so I don't
Get
know.
access to the
I don't know
hiring
what
you
manager.
can't,
Actually, that's
Michael,
not
you
true.
can't.
Wait. Okay,
Well,
let me
then
say
move
this.
on. Why are you
Let me
wasting
say this.
time?
They pay me 100K.
A few times I haven't had access, and you know what? I'm not
Suck it up.
as effective then, because I feel like the person in
yes.
between doesn't always see what I'd be able to influence the hiring manager to see. So you're
Okay,
right.
speaking of
I'm not good
hiring
with
managers,
another level in
I
between.
have another question. Anyone used agency leads? It's a
Believe it or not,
software
agency
program.
leads.
No.
Yeah, they put you on directly to the hiring managers who are hiring and using staffing companies. I
Hey,
actually
but-
have had a demo with them. Agency
You know
leads.
what works really good for leads? I've never used them, so they may be great.
Yeah. Tell me.
Help out a couple of, I only do sales recruiting.
Yeah.
And I have a few individuals that are VPs of sales and senior account executives and junior account executives, and so all over the place on the org chart. And when they're going out to get new jobs, they basically report back to me and tell me, hey, these are all the companies that have contacted me, and some of them I'm interviewing with and some of them I'm not. You should go after them. So they basically send me every company that that's coming after them or that they're applying for and saying, hey, these are viable leads for you.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
That's a good, nice idea.
That's a heartbreak. It's a heart-rending story. Make me feel so good. You know what?
I have
Let
a
me
question.
no, let me
Go
put in
ahead.
something. You know, people are always saying that good recruiters have attention deficit syndrome. So if she complains that I can't follow a story, I've got nothing to be ashamed about. Okay, I
But
just
you never
want to
s-
make
you
that
never said you were a
clear.
good recruiter.
Okay, yeah, that's what it means. That's
Yeah.
what it means.
He was the one that didn't understand when we were trying to describe influencing skills and what that
True.
meant.
Yeah,
Go
Um,
ahead.
That's
Now
funny.
you're
My question is, how often do you all not talk directly to the hiring managers? I thought that was kind of a norm.
Mario.
No, it depends on now. Let's say you're working for a government subcontractor. Okay, on a recruiting requirement. Let's say
One
the
right
team
now.
is somewhere inside in DHS. Okay, just imagine. So you cannot get through to the hiring manager. It doesn't work because the prime is there. The prime is the real hiring contact, and the subcontractor is not going to give you access directly to the prime.
Oh, you lost
You
me
work
at
with the
government.
subcontractors.
Yeah, so I've been in the cleared space.
yeah,
We're
you
You
know what I'm
lost
talking
me at
about, right?
government.
Yeah,
Hard
that's
I know,
pass
I had
on
to
all
get out of
that
that.
crap.
animal.
That's a whole. That's a headache.
Hey,
but it's
I
okay.
have one client right now, not government, so still interesting. It's a HVAC company, and I'm only speaking to like 2 or 3 of the VPs of sales, and I don't talk to any of the hiring managers.
Oh,
But you're still dealing with the VP of sales.
yeah.
Yes.
They're the
So
decision
when they
makers
come
there.
back and say, hey, this hiring manager over in Corpus Christi didn't like this individual, I speak directly to the VP of sales and say, well, that's interesting because they exceed everything you're looking for. What's the matter with your guy in Corpus?
I'm surprised at some point they don't go ahead. I would think after a few interactions and connect you, and why don't you talk directly? Because you'd have to ask questions like, what's their person, how do they manage? What are they like?
Yeah.
Personality. And
That stuff
I would
helps.
think at some point after a few conversations, they'd be like, well, let's get you guys together. Let's get on a call so I can remove
Yeah.
myself. No, does that tend to happen?
No,
Most times, not with this one, and I don't know if I want it because they're hiring in half of Texas, and that's a lot of regions. I'm not
Oh.
sure if you guys were aware Texas is big.
Ivan's
huge.
a bit
The big
quiet.
state.
Do you want to get the last word on the show? Do you have something you want to talk about?
No.
No? Okay.
wasn't
Is there
Maybe
any
it's
way you want to
always-
tie in your ATS?
I'm just
No,
it's
I did it enough
ATS
for today.
Clang.so.
Just-
You
Plugged
know
it in
what?
earlier.
Clang.so, everybody, go check it out. He's a smart guy. He
Ivan,
built
when are
his
you coming
own
to Texas?
applicant tracking system. Clang.so, go check it out. Ernie, do you have anything you want to say? You've been shut out for the last couple of minutes. No.
no, I'm very disappointed with the group that they've not let me speak.
We apologize, Ernie.
And I accept
Food
your
industry recruiter. That's
I
him,
accept your
Ernie
apology.
Marino. Mario the recruiter, the sales recruiter in the purple golf shirt, and Ellie Cohen unbelievably attended the show. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, everybody.
I'm back.
We'll see you
Please,
next
Thank
week.
please
you,
do. Ellie, come
Ellie,
back.
so much for
back, Ellie.
being
Come
here.
back, Ellie.
Please
That's
come
like a
back.
song.
We
See ya.
need more
There
women
he
on the
goes.
show.
Yeah, yeah.